A little more can be said.
But naturally, that is what I call the prologue to a monologue. Anytime somebody says there's nothing else that can be said, you can rest assured of two things. One, they have formulated an opinion, and two, you are about to hear it in its long form. Which is consequently why I have come up with my own list. It is a very generic list of answers that apply to virtually any situation. Does this mean I do not have an opinion? No, quite the contrary. I have several opinions about several things. Does not mean I trust my opinion everywhere it's asked for. This comes in particularly handy when discussing politics. An arena where I have a variety of opinions based exclusively on independent thought. But I have learned with discussions like that, people are more looking to play word association than anything else. The very same type of word association that is way too often mistaken for intelligence. So without any further ado, I will see how many of these generic responses I can fit into 2 minutes. Start the timer. Do we want to be right, or do we want to do what's right? The exception that could prove harmful. Yeah, that little piggy sure went to market. I reserve the right to be wrong. I see the exception and I see the rules, but I'm not very good at math. It is much wiser to leave a sentence incomplete than it is to allow. The future is there for all of those who live long enough to see it. Where there's a will, there should be a way, instead of a room full of won'ts. Ronald Reagan always said, blah, 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 blah. Bill Clinton always said, blah, 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 blah. Though I disagree with your opinion, I will defend to the death your right to express it. We cannot discover a problem with the fruit and refuse to examine the root. Everything was different when everybody was younger. You walk in with a question, you leave with 3 questions. You can just tell I'm not a nice person in real life. I'm afraid of snakes almost as much as I am humans. Found the Da Vinci Code that will lead us to the Holy Grail. Will allow us to be able to make the Sergeant Pepper of this generation. Subsequently leading us to the Super Bowl of WrestleManias. We'll run there wearing Nikes, which is the Cadillac of shoes. .comstock.com. There is no such thing as enough credit. But good thing things always seem to work out for you. Now, I am no one to judge, but that person or organization is guilty. That's an urban myth. Helen Keller couldn't play pinball. That's an urban myth. Walt Disney was frozen, but only so Boba Fett could take him to Jabba the Hutt and collect the bounty. Only so he could be killed by his own company 30 plus years later. That's an urban myth. You can only get pregnant if you come back here or make any phone calls for the next 3 weeks. The grass is always greener because of chlorophyll. Finally, and as you might have guessed, my point is that there is no point. Chlorophyll is what makes grass green and or greener. I like to think that we were all already educated to the dangers that come with thin ice, but then again, I fell through ice from that very same lake. The rest of it, stuff that may serve you well in a conversation, but it was all just a bunch of bullshit. Check it, and thanks for watching. I am actor Brendan Crash. I'm going to lunch. Still no fat burger in New York.